about this issue and about this topic. So I'll admit that into the record without objection. Now I recognize the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Knott, for his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for holding this important hearing. To the witnesses who were here, I look forward to this conversation. We are very excited to have this hearing because it addresses a very real problem. It addresses just one more area of American life that organized crime is really striking at the heart. And when you step back and look at the effect of organized crime for a variety of reasons, including unchecked migration from people all over the world coming to this country, some of whom are coming with bad intent. You look at weak law enforcement policies, anti-law enforcement policies. You look at former drug dealers are now cartel operatives. You look at former welfare cheats are now international fraudsters. Old neighborhood brawls have turned into war zones, gun battles. You look at local gangs are now being replaced with international crime syndicates. And that extension has certainly gone into retail crime. Many of you have mentioned that already. And in my experience in law enforcement, of all of those particular types of crime, most Americans are least familiar with organized retail crime, even though organized retail crime affects, arguably, every single American the most. By some estimates I've seen that the direct cost for organized retail theft is over $100 billion a year in this country. It's growing. The indirect costs are many multiples higher than that. And in regards to my observations as a former prosecutor, often when you observed a petty crime, an individual crime, it was one spoke in a much larger wheel. And to that extent, Ms. Stephan, I want to start with you. A lot of people who are questioning this bill have a fear that it is going to take away local law enforcement's ability to fight this crime. As a former federal prosecutor, I used to work with local law enforcement to attack crime. Please tell us why federal assistance in tackling organized retail theft is needed from a district attorney's perspective.
Thank you for that question. Absolutely, there's a role for state prosecutors, like I've talked about, but there's a role for federal prosecutors. One great example of how you can split and conquer and make your community safe is an elder justice task force where we were able to take a real action against these scammers that are going after our elderly. We could only, again, get to the people that were showing up at the doorstep of our elderly and prosecute them. But by teaming up in a task force that included the U.S. Attorney, we were able, the federal government was able to do a RICO action. You know what that is?
Sure.
Has a lot of power to bring the higher-ups of these terrible scammers that are abusing our seniors. I envision the same thing for retail theft.
Organized retail crime does not stop at your jurisdictional boundary, does it?
Not at all.
And in regards to the crimes I mentioned, gangs, drugs, violent criminals, fraudsters, there is a federal forum for those criminals.
Absolutely.
It's a logical extension. Why would we not have a federal forum for organized retail thieves?
These criminals travel across county lines and state lines and international lines, so the only way that you can defeat a big monster like that is to come together and leverage our individual power set to take care of our communities.
So it's safe to say it would be a partnership, not a replacement from the federal law enforcement.
Absolutely. I don't plan on being replaced.
Great. I hope, yes, ma'am. Mr. McBride, I want to talk to you briefly. You talked about the levels of sophistication of these international crime syndicates. Can you describe who these people are and what type of mechanisms they utilize to further their criminal activity?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. I cannot speak to it exactly who they are. That is more of a question for HSI and a law enforcement agency, but have ties or
in your
information
experience,
on
what
that.
have you observed?
But in my experience, we know that exfiltration schemes, and we're getting a clearer and clearer picture because of data that we are able to collect on our own product that is showing there is a highly sophisticated levels of roles and responsibilities within these organizations. Some people do not leave the state. They commit the crime, but they are working for someone that is outside the state or even outside the country who might be a shot caller that is developing this mechanism and is employing and I say that loosely as a term, employing them to do these crimes at different levels for different jobs, whether it's the boosting, the muling of moving the product, cleaning it and consolidating it, reshipping it to a central location, and then the exfiltration.
And it's safe to say this is not just an interstate issue, it's an international issue.
It is. Transnational polycriminal organizations are the ones that are really calling the shots here.
Gentleman's time has expired. Thank
I
you.
yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from